CIL 650 presents It's Your Money, an up-close and personal look at your finances. Here's your host, Fred Snyder.
Up in the morning and out to school.
You gotta like that music. It's a good way to start it off. Okay, so you're back to school, and it's our mission, it's our intention to increase your financial IQ so that you can make better financial decisions and so that you can become financially independent sooner and stay financially independent longer. Proper financial planning can create benefits for you today, not necessarily in the future, not necessarily after you retire, but right now. You can get tax refunds so that you can invest more money, so that you can have more money to invest, and you can invest money that you'd normally pay out in income tax into your investment portfolio. That'll help you get there quicker. The right portfolio will get you the rates of return that you need to stay ahead of taxes and inflation. That's what we talk about on this show, and we teach you about all that. And today we're going to focus on income tax. And I expect a lot of calls today because I want to make the point that interest income is quite low, and it's not very tax preferred. It's fully 100% taxable. Capital gains give you a tax break, and so do dividends. But let's talk about the actual numbers. I'm going to generate the numbers and show you, and you can call in and say, well, I make $40,000 a year. What would happen if I had interest income and I converted it to dividend income? How much tax would I save? Or if I made an RRSP contribution, how much tax would I save? You'd be surprised. Very few people understand. Had somebody yesterday asked me, should I make an RRSP contribution? I said, how much income do you make? And nothing. Well, why would anybody put money into an RRSP when their income is zero? The tax deduction won't help you, and when you take it out, you got to pay tax on it. Doesn't make sense. So some people don't crunch their numbers. They don't know how to do the math. They don't have a financial plan, and that's all the things that we talk about here on this show. If you call the show, you get a second opinion on your investment portfolio in writing, written financial plan, and a seat at our next workshop, which will be all about income tax. 41 ways to reduce the taxes you pay. 41 ways to ease the tax bite. That's what we're talking about. Just finished an article on that, and once it's approved, I'll be able to distribute that to my clients. So get on the line and give us a call. Let's start out with what I kind of think is kind of cute. Because people come into me these days and they're really upset about what's going on out in the world, okay? So here it is again, for those who haven't heard it. Don't pay too much attention to the media. You read the media every day, and you know something? It is nothing but bloody bad news all the time. No wonder it puts us all in a foul mood. But don't pay too much attention to the media. It's a gloomy moment in the history of our country. I think you'd all agree with me on that one. The domestic economic situation is in chaos. We have oil prices at unprecedented low prices right now. To take a barrel of oil out of the tar sands right now, it costs $67, and you can sell it for around $50. Why would they produce oil in the tar sands right now? Hence, lots of people being laid off. Our dollar is weak throughout the world. I don't think anybody can argue that point. Prices are so high as to be utterly impossible. Imagine, anybody out there can tell me that their cost of living is going down? No way. The political cauldron seethes and bubbles with uncertainty. I think that's true too, isn't it? Russia hangs as usual like a cloud, dark and silent upon the horizon. I don't think anybody would argue there either. There's a few others too, Kim Jong-un and a few of those other characters out there. It's a solemn moment. Of our troubles, no man can see the end. That looks like headlines out of the Province or the Sun, doesn't it? That was in Harper's Magazine in 1847. I want you to just think about that. What else is new? There's always trouble. There's always problems. Problems are also opportunities when you can solve them. So when we talk about financial independence, ladies and gentlemen and listeners out there, when we talk about that, you got to want to. I think that's the main reason we fail financially. We're not prepared to pay the price. But the price of failure is greater than the price of success. When you fail, you pay for that failure with a little piece of your dignity and self-respect for the rest of your life. So the price of success may be high, but the price of failure is higher. And you got to become to have. You got to become the kind of person who deserves to be wealthy if you want to be wealthy. Many, many people I know, if I gave them $1 million, they'd be broke next week. And that's a fact. They don't handle their money well. They win the lottery, and the money's gone before they know it. They buy everybody in their family a house and a car and all the rest of it. That's like cutting the trees in the apple orchard down instead of just picking the apples. So give us a call. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about how you can become financially independent sooner and stay financially independent longer. Let's talk about how you can save income tax, how you can reduce the taxes that you pay so that you can get a real rate of return on your money after taxes and inflation. Let's just suppose, for example, that I said right here on the air, and I'm not offering this. Let's get that straight. But let's say that I hypothetically had an investment that was guaranteed by the Canadian government that would pay 10% interest. How many people would be phoning this station right now? Thousands. Okay? Because that only exists in your dreams. It's hypothetical. But if you could get 10% interest on your money, and your income is substantial, like 40, 50,000 up, you'd pay almost half that to the tax man. So that means you're left with 5%. And if inflation is only 3, if you take the 3 off the 5, your real rate of return after taxes and inflation on a gross of 10 is 2%. I'm going to say that again. If you can make 10% and it's fully taxable, after you adjust that 10% for taxes and inflation, your real rate of return is 2%. So if you're going to become financially independent sooner and stay financially independent longer, you have to find a way to mitigate the taxes. It's part of the equation. You have to find the best investments, and you have to be able to mitigate the taxes that you pay. We got some callers coming in. Let's talk to Sandy from Langley. Sandy, welcome to the program. Hi, Sandy.
No.
Hello, Sandy. Looks like we lost Sandy. Sandy, call back. Let's talk to Helen from Richmond. Helen, welcome to the program.
Hi, Fred. Good morning. How are you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm good.
That's good.
I've got a question for you, Fred.
Sure. Hope I can answer it.
A friend that lives in Musqueam, old, widowed, nice house,
Mm-hmm.
and the land is leased, and the rate of it is going up 8 times, so that leaves it, almost $130,000. So I wonder what people can do. Can you put those taxes on hold or anything like that?
I don't know that I quite understand the question again, so let's go over the question again.
Okay.
This woman has a house.
Right.
She owns the house.
Right.
What's going up? The taxes?
It's in Musqueam on leased land.
Okay.
And the taxes are going up 8-fold.
800% is what you're saying.
Well, from 16,000 to 128,000.
Well, that's about 800%, I would say. Now look.
Eight times as much.
And that's instantly? Like, what's the justification for that?
Well, I'm not sure. More
Okay.
money, I guess.
Well, because it's leased land, I don't know if you can
That's what
defer
I
the
wondered.
taxes, but what she should do is go to the municipality where the taxes are paid
Right.
and see if she can defer the taxes.
Well, that's what I wondered, if you can do that on leased land.
I don't know.
I said, maybe
If she
to her
can,
daughter, maybe
she can
give
just
the law
ask them and they
school a
can
call.
tell her. If she asks them, if she goes to the municipality and says, I'd like to defer my, how old is she?
90?
Well, that's outrageous.
Well, I don't know what the other people are going to do there, too. Those
Well, it's the
houses
same
aren't
thing.
worth
It's
much
the
because
same
of the
issue.
lease.
Everybody should check and see if the taxes can be deferred. I don't know. There's
Yeah.
a possibility they can't. There's also a possibility that they can, but it's a
Yeah.
simple phone call. If you phone the municipality and say, I'd like to defer these rapidly increasing taxes,
Right.
can I do that?
Mm-hmm.
And it's legal. I mean, anybody listening to the show right now, if
Well, it's Vancouver.
if you're over a certain age, you're allowed to defer your taxes, and that can be a good financial strategy in some cases.
Yeah, well, this
Certainly,
is
if you own the
East
land, you can. But I don't know if you're leasing it, if you can or not. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's right, by UBC there, Musqueam.
I don't know why it would be any different though, even if you're leasing it.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Okay, well, thank you for that, Fred.
I'll check it out
pass
though,
that
Helen.
on.
I'll make some phone calls on Monday, or if any listener out there knows the answer to that question, give us a call. That would be good.
Thank you, Fred, to you and Bernard for the entertainment book. That's great.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Fred.
Well,
Have a good
okay.
one.
I really appreciate your call. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
You too. Bye now.
Bye for now. Okay, so Helen, because she called the show, gets a second opinion on her investment portfolio, a written financial plan, and a seat at our next workshop, which will be about 41 ways to ease the tax bite. That's a big 100 and some page newsletter that I just finished, and there's an outline of it. You can relax. I'm not gonna go through it all because there's an awful lot of material there, but that basically talks about 41 ways to reduce the taxes you pay legally. That's what we're talking about, okay? One of them is certainly defer your property taxes, because we're not just talking about income tax here, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about any kind of tax. GST, PST, property taxes, liquor taxes, cigarette taxes. Like, there's lots of taxes. We work 4 or 5, even 6 months out of every year just to pay our taxes. And taxes are the most rapidly increasing expense that we have right now. So again, Helen's line's open, and the other lady who called earlier, get back on the line. Give us a call. We'll be happy to take your call. 604-280-0650. Long distance, 1-877-280-0650. Log on if you like, www.CIL650.com. Now, there are those who are shy or reluctant to talk on the air, and Frida has graciously agreed to work on Saturday and Sunday down at the office to take your calls. So she's down there right now. If you want to book an appointment to see myself, to review your account if you have one, you may have some questions, whatever, give Frida a call. You can reach Frida right now, 604-737-3512, long distance 1-800-661-1495. I got a habit of giving those numbers out quickly, so I'm going to repeat them once again a little more slowly. 604-280-0650. If you want to call live. 1-877-280-0650 if you want to call live. You want to participate in the show. You want to log on, it's www.CIL650.com. Frida down at the office at area code 604-737-3512. And that's probably the most important of all those numbers, because if you want to get something going, that's the number to call. You want the analysis that we talk about. You want to get the written financial plan. You want to reserve a seat at our next workshop, which is almost booked up right now, which will be all about income tax. Call Frida, 604-737-3512. Now, if you're long distance, it's 1-800-661-1495. If you just tuned in, I'm certified financial planner Fred Snyder, registered financial planner as well, representing Scotia McLeod. And my mission is to teach people what they need to know to make better financial decisions. And isn't that what it's all about? You got to want to, ladies and gentlemen, listeners. You got to want to. You got to motivate yourself, okay? You got to get off your butt, and you got to be proactive and not reactive. Many people sit there and say, well, somehow I'm going to make it. I don't have any money today, but I'll just sit here and wait and something will happen. It won't happen. I have news for you. It won't happen unless you make it happen. Get your future going today. Make a phone call, 604-280-0650. Frida down at the office, 604-737-3512. Get yourself a written financial plan. Get yourself some financial education. I have to take continuing education credits every single year. I have to learn more and more and more just to keep up to date. And I know my customers, my clients aren't doing that. They're not working very hard. The key to financial success is knowledge. The opposite of fear is knowledge. Fear is the acronym false evidence appearing real. The opposite of that is knowledge. So the more you know, the less fearful you are, the more motivated you are, and the better your chances of doing what needs to be done to become financially independent sooner and stay there longer. You got to learn to pay yourself first. Every time you make a dollar, make a resolution, an affirmation, if you want to call it that from now on, going into the future, if I make a dollar, I can only spend 90 cents out of that dollar. 10 cents has to go into some form of savings. Period. It's as simple as that. Someone once said, how do you get out of the hole? Well, you stop digging. If you're continuously spending more money than you earn, like the government, because they do the same thing, if you spend more money than you earn, you're going to go into debt. You don't like debt, it doesn't feel good? Stop digging. Stop spending more than you earn. Might take you a while, but you'll get out of that. That's what it's all about. And the best place to start that process, once again, is a written financial plan. And most of the people I talk to don't have one. They come into my office and they wonder why they're failing financially, and they don't have goals, they don't have objectives, and they're concerned about their money. And they should be. They should be. So once again, get on the line and give us a call. We're talking about your money, more importantly about your money and how to keep it. You just tuned in. I'm certified financial planner Fred Snyder. And again, I represent Scotia McLeod. And I'm flying solo here today. So I want to get into this income tax situation. I promised you I would at the start of the show. So let's see here if I can get things going here. This is a little tool that I found on the internet. It's not going to work for me here. Try again. Never fails when you want something. So anyway, while I'm waiting for this stupid computer of mine to kick in so I get all my numbers and stuff, let's just talk about the 10 scrolls. The first scroll is today I begin a new life. I want you to pause and think about that. If you want to succeed and you've been failing in the past, you got to turn over a new leaf. You got to turn the page. So I get up this morning and I say, today I begin a new life. Think about that. Just let that sink in. There we are. Finally worked. So today I begin a new life. Second affirmation is, I will greet this day with love in my heart. I'll be happy. I'll be smiling all the time. I got a grandson. He's a lovely kid. And you never see him that he's not smiling. So put a smile on your face and be happy. Next one, I will master my emotions. I won't needlessly get angry. I'll master my emotions. I'll master the fear that creeps over me sometimes. The next one is I'll laugh at the world. I hope you have a pencil. I hope you're writing those down. Those are affirmations that everybody should repeat to themselves continuously and constantly. I do it every day. Okay? The stress kind of goes away. It makes me happy. You want to be happy? Pretend you're happy and you'll become happy. You want to be enthusiastic? Act enthusiastic and you'll become enthusiastic. That's the way life is, ladies and gentlemen and listeners out there. So here we have someone. This is a little tax calculator. It's a handy tool. The web page is www.ey.com. If you call Frida, we can give you the address if you want to look it up. But I can type in here like $40,000. Let's say my income is $40,000. And I know there's lots of listeners out there listening to the show right now. Their income is $40,000. So I do calculate. Now at the top, I have the taxes for BC. So the tax payable on an income of $40,000, the after-tax income is $34,083. The average tax rate is 14.79%. The marginal tax rate is 22.7%. Now I want to explain the difference. You don't pay the same amount of tax on every dollar you earn. The first dollar you earn is almost tax-free. It is tax-free, actually. Okay? The last dollar you earn is more taxable than any of the other dollars. The marginal tax rate is the last dollar you earn. The average is the average of the whole thing against your income. Now, maybe that went across, maybe it didn't, but we'll leave it at that because I could spend more time than it's worth explaining that. The marginal rate of tax for that person on capital gains is only 11.35% instead of 22.7%. But look what it is on dividends. It's nothing. Someone making $40,000 a year, if they can get a 5% dividend, they don't pay any tax at all. None. Nilch. I want you to think about that, okay? Ineligible dividends, the marginal rate is 10.73. I don't know why I'd want those. I prefer the ones where I don't pay any tax at all. So if you earn $40,000 a year, and let's say that you have a GIC or a term deposit that's generating 2 or 3% interest, if that, that's all taxable at top marginal rates. Marginal rate at $40,000, 22.7%. You can get a higher dividend than that in many cases and pay no tax at all. So wouldn't it be a good idea to make sure that you switch your interest income paying investments to investments that generate dividends? I mean, I can't make the point any more clear than that. Now, if it's $50,000, you pay a little bit of tax on dividends. If it's $75,000, it starts to go up. But at $40,000 is about the margin. Anything up to $40,000 dividend income is tax-free. Think about that and think how important that is. Let's talk to Maria from Vancouver. Maria, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good morning. How are you doing?
Pretty good, Maria. How are you?
Well, you just made a remark about being happy, and I have to say this. You made me happy on Sunday because last Saturday we were talking about wills, and I made a remark, and I believe that if people make a mistake and they learn that they made a mistake, it's all good. So the reason I'm calling in is because on Sunday, even though I made a comment on the Sunday program, it was not the Saturday program. So I just want to say thank you because you and all your people go out of your way to make people comfortable. So I want to say thank you. I'm not going to go into it. I'm just going to say thank you for doing a good job and for making people comfortable.
Well, Maria, that's what you have to do. You know, the name of the game is not to scare people. The name of the game is to lead people. The name of the game is to teach people. And the name of the game is to keep them comfortable while you're doing it. Because if you don't, they'll fail.
Exactly.
In order to succeed, you have to be comfortable.
Yes, and you're putting on a show to make people feel better about themselves. Mm-hmm. So you did it last week for me. I have nothing to hide, but I cannot go into it. I'm just glad you did the program that you did, and I want to say thank you.
Maria, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your call. Wish I had a lot more calls like that one.
I think they're there. They're just shy.
Go ahead and make my day. Call me.
Okay, have a good day.
Okay, Maria, you too. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye for now. Okay, Maria's line is now open, so if you've just joined us, I'm certified financial planner. Fred Snyder, also registered financial planner. We're talking about income tax, and I've identified 41 ways to ease the tax bite. And I will share that with our listeners if they attend my next workshop. My next workshop, we're looking for a booking of about 75 people, and I think we got about 55 or 60 right now. So we're running out of space, and generally if we book 70, 50 will show up. So we want 50. So that's what we're targeting for. So if you call Frida, you can book a seat for that workshop right now, and you can reach Frida at area code 604-737-3512. If you're calling long distance, it's 800-661-1495. If you want to talk to me live, and again, I remind you, this is a live show. Tomorrow's show is a replay, but this is a live show today. Area code 604-280-0650. 650 is the station's call letter, so it's a good way to remember it. So the last 3 digits in the number is 650. So 0650, 604-280-0650. 0650. Hope I didn't confuse you with all that. The long distance, it's 604. Excuse me, long distance is 1-877-280-0650. You want to talk to Frida, she's down at the office. Area code 604-737-3512. Long distance 800-661-1495. So what I want to do is, let's say your income, let's take someone who has an income of $100,000. So I just put $100,000 into my computer. Now, what kind of problems does someone with a $100,000 a year income have? Well, first off, if they're over 65, they get a piece of their old age pension clawed back. They not only pay more tax, they get a piece of their old age pension clawed back. Remember that. That's kind of almost double taxation. So they pay a lot of tax. If someone earns $100,000, the tax payable is $24,883. That's a lot. That's a couple grand a month. Their after-tax income is $75,117. That's all they can spend. Their average tax rate is almost 25%. But their marginal tax rate is pretty close to 40%. That means the last dollar that they earn is taxed at 40%, which means they only keep 60% of the last dollar that they earn. Now, if they get a capital gain instead of regular income, like from interest, they only pay 19% tax on a capital gain. On dividends, they only pay 18.31%. So there's still a tax break. But remember, there is, in many cases, ways that you can reduce the amount of money that they have to report so that they can avoid the clawback. There's actually forms of income that you can make, return of capital and things like that, that you don't have to declare. You don't even have to put it on your tax return. So a good tax planner can look for ways to reduce the clawback of old age pension, in some cases guaranteed income supplement as well. And again, make the income that you receive tax preferred. For example, there are dividend funds out there that pay distributions of almost 5%. Most of those distributions are generally in the form of dividends. And if your income would be under $40,000, you wouldn't pay any tax at all on that income. I want you to think about that. And maybe that doesn't quite apply to you, but maybe it applies to your mother, your brother, some relative that you have, maybe in a situation where that's occurring. I know a situation right now where a lady sold her house. She got over $1 million sitting in a bank account. Now that $1 million sitting in that bank account is generating probably 0.75% interest, if that. And it's taxable on top of that. So if you take inflation off of what she's getting, on her $1 million, she's getting a negative return of maybe 2%, 3%, somewhere around there, depending on the rate of inflation. You can't do that. You must put that money to work so that it's generating proper rates of return. And the way to do that is to get yourself a financial advisor, a financial plan, review the plan on a regular basis, and make sure that it's up to date. So once again, I'm certified financial planner Fred Snyder, also a registered financial planner representing Scotia McLeod, and my mission is to teach people what they need to know to make better financial decisions. I do that by doing this radio show. I do that by doing regular seminars. I do that by articles that I write. And that's my mission. That's my purpose. En français, that's called raison d'être. Okay? So get on the line. Give me a call. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation about your money, more importantly about your money and how to keep it. I will laugh at the world. Okay? I am nature's greatest miracle. And I don't say that in an egotistical way. I will tell you right now, there isn't another person out there that's exactly like Fred Snyder. Not a single one. Fingerprints are different, everything. So I am nature's greatest miracle, and so are you. So look in the mirror and talk to yourself and say, look, I'm going to get myself a financial plan. I'm going to get on track. I'm not on track right now. I'm not doing what I need to do. I have too much money in the bank. I don't understand risk. I don't understand how to select the best investments. I don't understand insurance, the insurance that I need. I don't have a clear picture of where I want to go. In fact, I don't even have a clear picture of where I am right now. So if you write these things down, here's the formula. There's a formula for almost everything. So write them down. Crystallize your thinking is number one. That means that you must set very clear, concise goals. Not hopes, plans, dreams, and ambitions. Very precise goals. I want a 3,800 square foot house on the ocean in Horseshoe Bay. I can see it. I got a picture of it. I want to drive a Tesla electric car. So you can put a picture of a Tesla. I want to have a physique like Charles Atlas. Okay? Paste that on the mirror when you shave every day and just focus on those abs. That's what you do, ladies and gentlemen. That is what you do. Corny? Just make sure nobody's watching. Okay? Just, the fact of the matter is, you got to motivate yourself. And you motivate yourself by giving yourself affirmations. Today I begin a new life. I will greet this day with love in my heart. I am nature's greatest miracle. I will persist until I succeed. I'll control my emotions. I will laugh at the world. These are just some of the affirmations that you must give yourself on a regular basis. And I won't ask God to give me all the things I want. I'll ask God for guidance to help me get the things that I want. That's what we're talking about. And you can't get there without a plan. Imagine trying to build a house without a blueprint. Imagine trying to build a company without a blueprint. Imagine trying to do anything without a plan. You need to get a plan. I'm offering one at no cost, no obligation. When I first started making that offer, I was afraid I'd have people beating the door down. Isn't happening. Maybe they don't understand what I'm saying. Maybe I'm not making myself clear. Maybe they're afraid that if they come and see me, I'm going to sell them something they don't need. Not true. It is not true. I have many of my clients listening to this show right now. If you're out there, did I high pressure any of you to invest with me? Never. Okay? And I won't do that because Maria, when she called in, she said, you got to be comfortable. And if you're not comfortable, I failed. So should you become my client and you're not comfortable being my client, I failed. I wasn't successful. So again, $100,000, your marginal tax rate on capital gains is 19.15%. Your actual marginal tax rate on other income is 24%. So on interest income, you'd pay 24, almost 25%. On capital gains, you'd pay 19.15, and on dividends, you'd pay 18.3. So why would you accept interest income if you're in that kind of a tax bracket when you can get a tax break by receiving income in the form of capital gains or dividends? You wouldn't and you shouldn't. So let's say you earn $200,000. Let's say that you're really an earner and you're generating $200,000 in taxable income. What's the tax rates? Well, your income tax on $200,000 is $68,428. Your after-tax income is $131,571. If you're in BC, your average tax rate is 34%. Your marginal tax rate is 48.89%. You might just well say 50%. So that means half of every dollar you earn goes to the government. And if you get capital gains, you only pay 23% instead of 50%. And if you get dividends, you pay 28%. Still a tax break. So dividends and capital gains are considered to be tax-preferred income. When you get that kind of income, you don't pay the full rate of tax like you do on interest income or on salary, et cetera, et cetera. That's what we're talking about, and we're talking about how you can keep more of your hard-earned dollars, how you can keep that money, invest it for yourself, become financially independent sooner, and stay financially independent longer. We have to go to the break. When we come back, we'll talk some more about taxes.
Fred Snyder.
I want people to call the show that are genuinely interested in increasing their financial IQ so that they can become financially independent sooner and stay financially independent longer.
Fred Snyder.
You don't have a blueprint. Imagine trying to build a house without a blueprint. And how about having a blueprint for your life? What are your lifestyle goals? You need to think about your family life. What are your goals about your family life? What are your lifestyle goals when it comes to health? What are your lifestyle goals when it comes to finances, mental and spiritual? You have to set goals in all those areas, not just finances.
Fred Snyder.
Often we fail because we put too much emphasis on one area and ignore everything else. We work our butts off and we ruin our health. So life is all about balance. So you need a life plan.
Fred Snyder.
Napoleon Hill says this, wrote the book Think and Grow Rich. Anything that you can vividly imagine, ardently desire, and enthusiastically act upon will inevitably come to pass.
Fred Snyder.
My goal, my mission is to help people enhance their financial IQs by teaching them what they need to know to make better financial decisions.
Fred Snyder, Saturday mornings at 8 and Sunday mornings at 10 on Smooth and Easy, CIL 650. This is CISL Vancouver, smooth and easy. CIL 650. This is It's Your Money on CIL 650. Here once again is Fred Snyder.
It would be interesting if our listeners would phone in and say, I have some interest income, and I'd like to save tax. How much tax could I save if I invested that money so it generated dividends instead of interest income? We can actually give you the number. Might be nice to give us a call. We can talk about that. We got all kinds of tax tips that we can share with you. So if you got any question regarding income tax, if you got any question regarding your money, anything having to do with your money, give us a call. Be happy to answer it, and in most cases we'll be able to answer it. So the number to call is area code 604-280-0650. Long distance 877-280-0650. Log on www.cil650.com. Read it out the office, area code 604-737-3512. If you're calling long distance down there, it's 1-800-661-1495. Again, the topic is it's your money and how to keep it. How to keep it is the most important part of that. We know it's your money, but in many cases it's not, because you're so massively in debt, you're virtually bankrupt and you don't have any money. Or you're going further into debt. Or if you spend your money, it's not your money anymore, it's somebody else's. So really the premise is that it's how to keep it that counts. And most people don't do a very good job of that. Ask yourself this question: how long have I worked? How much money have I made? How much of that do I have left today? And am I happy with the answers? How long have I worked? How much money have I made so far during my lifetime? How much of that do I have left today, and am I happy with the answers? And I don't think I ever met anybody yet that was happy with the answers. So which means that they didn't achieve their potential when it came to the accumulation of wealth. And we're talking about how you can achieve your maximum potential. And the way you do that is by saving a lot of money, by investing it wisely, and keeping it invested, and then mitigating the taxes. That's the plan. So when you look at a financial plan, the first step is education, because you learn how to accumulate money. That's education. The second step is establishing meaningful, worthwhile goals. What are my goals? One of them should be more education. Another part of that should be continuing education. It's never over. The next step is cash management. How do I manage my money so that I have a positive cash flow, not a negative one? The next step is risk management. What happens if I die or become disabled? What happens if I have some kind of an unexpected issue, a tax audit, whatever? lots of ways that can destroy your financial plan. So what if? What are some of the things that can destroy my plan? What is my risk reduction plan? Then you have retirement planning. How am I going to make sure that I have enough money to retire on when I want to retire? Then you have educational funding. Educational funding for your children. How are you going to make sure that the educational fund for your children doesn't compromise your investment or your retirement plan? Then you have capital creation. What do I do with the money beyond my RRSP? People that come in and see me, they have all of their money tied up in their house, their pension plan, their RRSP, and they have nothing outside. The TFSA is an excellent investment program, but 90% of the people I talk to haven't maxed out on the TFSA. If you've never contributed to a TFSA, you and your spouse can put over $70,000 today into a TFSA, and anything that money earns is absolutely forever income tax free. Think about that one. There it might be okay to get 2 or 3% rate of return because you don't pay tax on it. Ever. You got to understand, though, if you take money out of a TFSA, and you can, and you put it back the same year, you got a penalty because that's considered to be an overcontribution. So, but you can take money out and put it back next year, that's okay. If you miss a contribution, which is $5,500 a year, and they're talking about increasing it right now, you can carry that over indefinitely, just like you can RRSP contributions. So you got to think about the fact that there are investment funds out there that currently exist that if you invested the maximum TFSA right now between yourself and your spouse, say it's $70,000, there are investment funds out there where you would double the money in 3.5 years. Now, I'm not saying that you should expect to do that, but had you done that 3 years ago and that was the case, you'd have about $70,000 profit, all tax-free. Think about that. Think about that opportunity. You live in a house. The house you live in right now grows tax-free. You might have bought that house 20 years ago for $200,000, probably worth over $1 million today. If you sold it, that's all tax-free money. So maybe a good plan is to buy the most expensive house you can possibly afford and hope that real estate continues to grow like it has in the past. That might be a risky proposition, but it might not. Because if you bought a house today for $1 million and it doubled in the next 20 years, you just made $1 million tax-free. You buy a life insurance policy right now. You make your children the beneficiary. You can do this providing you're still insurable. You're young enough that the premium isn't out of sight. The proceeds of that life insurance on your death goes to your beneficiaries income tax-free. Totally tax-free. So if you can make an argument with your children, because they're the beneficiary, that they should pay the premium. Okay? This is a guaranteed savings plan for them where they'll get whatever the death benefit is when you pass away. That may be 15, 20, 30 years down the road, but that's a guaranteed nest egg. You got to think about all these things, and you got to talk to a financial advisor like myself to be able to come up with the ideas so that you can define the options, weigh the options, and decide the best course of action. But ladies and gentlemen and listeners, it all starts with a written financial plan. And I know that most of you do not have one. I know the ratios because I see profiles of 4 or 5 people every day that come into my office for a review or for an interview, and I see what they have, and they don't have a written financial plan. I say, who's your financial advisor? And they say, Joe Smith. And so he's your financial advisor. Can I see your written financial plan? What's that? Don't have one. Ladies and gentlemen, that plan is a blueprint that says, this is what I have today. This is where I'm at. This is where I want to go. It's clearly defined. I want to have an income of $100,000 a year to start when I'm 60 years of age and to last as long as I live, and I want it inflation adjusted. I want to have a nicer house. I want to have my own business. I want to have a real estate portfolio. I want to have a ski chalet at Whistler, or I want a place down in Palm Springs or California someplace. I want to have a 40-foot yacht. These can be clearly defined objectives, not just your hopes, your plans, your dreams, and your ambitions, but clearly defined objectives. So you choose these objectives, you sit down, you prioritize them, you say this is the most important one, let's work on that one first. How do I get a greater rate of return on the money that I'm investing? How do I make sure that I have the best investments inside my portfolio? You ought to be able to sit down with your financial advisor with your statement and put the statement on the table and put your finger on top of any one of those investments and say to your financial advisor, what was your criteria for picking this particular investment? Tell me why you and how you picked it, or did you just put the statement up on the wall and throw darts at it and pick the investments at random? Okay? Like, there's got to be a criteria. What is your criteria? Fair question, I think. And if he or she stutters and stammers around, careful. Because maybe there's not a clear-cut financial plan there, or plan. When I talk to people, I often say, looks like you got pretty good portfolio here, but what is your investment plan? How do you manage that portfolio? How often do you review it? How often do you rebalance? How do you measure the risk in that portfolio? How do you measure the expected rate of return? What's the beta? What's the alpha? What's the Sharpe ratio of that particular portfolio? How does it measure up? Peter Drucker once said, if you can't manage it, or if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So there's got to be some kind of a measurement criteria. How do you do that? Is your investment advisor, does he choose the investments, or does somebody else choose them for him? Again, does that advisor believe in technical analysis or fundamental analysis, or some combination of both? Quantitative analysis, these are all investment styles that people use in the selection of investments. And there's almost 22,000 investment funds out there to pick from right now. So how do you know which ones are the best and which ones are the worst? Which are the most expensive? Which are the least expensive? Which one should I have in my portfolio? Which one should I not? It's not just like snapping your fingers, and it's not picking investments ad hoc. It's choosing investments with a sensible criteria that helps you weigh and measure the investment alternatives. So again, you have a portfolio of investments right now. You're listening to this show. Maybe you're a client of mine already, or maybe you're considering becoming one. Maybe it's time to give Frida a call and say, I'd like my portfolio reviewed, as you talked about on the air. And again, I don't care if you're already a client. I don't care if you're not a client. It doesn't matter. Make an appointment, come in for a review. That's called an annual checkup. I go to the dentist twice a year for a checkup. I go to my eye doctor twice a year for a checkup. I go to my doctor once a year for a checkup. If that's important for my health, is it not just as important for my financial health to check up on my financial plan? Okay? I want you to think about that and much, much more. And again, if you don't have a financial plan, it is time to get one. Get on the line and give us a call. I remind you, once again, we're talking about your money, more importantly about your money and how to keep it. Okay, so, I like this little thing here, where is it? We can do some calculations, and it's interesting to do calculations, okay? So here's a person who's 60 years of age. I can put 70 or 80 or whatever in there. But let's say somebody's 60 years of age. They want to retire at 60. So they just turned 60 and they want to retire right now. They want an annual income of $40,000 a year. If I have $40,000 a year, I can pay my bills and live well. I assume inflation is going to be 3%. I've accumulated $200,000. I think I can get a rate of return of 7% on my money. You can put 6 or 5 or any number in there that you want. And I want to allow 2% for a margin of error. In other words, maybe I only get 5, maybe I get 9. 2% plus or minus one way or another. What are the numbers and what do the numbers look like? So we'll start there. Okay, so if that person were to follow that plan, that person would be broke at age 64. That money would last for 4 years. So you need to make some modifications. So if we go back and we look at the numbers again, 40,000, he's pulling out at 200,000, he's getting a rate of return of 7%. Runs out of money pretty quickly. And you know something? There's lots of people out there right now that are in that position, and they don't even know it. So what happens if the money runs out at 64? Well, good news. The next year you're going to be able to get the old age pension. That's $540 a month. That's not going to get you very far. So the CPP, if you haven't taken it already, you can start drawing the CPP at 64 at that particular time. So maybe you got maybe $1,000 a month coming in now for the rest of your life. That's not going to support you. That plan won't work. So what can we do to make it work? Well, we need more than 200,000, but we have to reduce the $40,000 income, or we have to increase the rate of return to something where the risk would be too high. It gets really pretty scary. There's the numbers behind that graph. And that, ladies and gentlemen, would be part of a written financial plan. So if that person were to come into the office, that schedule would be built into the plan itself. So if I go back and I adjust the numbers and I say, okay, you're 60 today, but you can't retire today. You got to retire at 65. That's a big change. You had to modify the goal. So I'll retire at 65 instead. So we'll put in 65. And income desired, we'll say, is 30,000. Now remember, part of that 30,000 is old age pension and Canada Pension Plan. That's Social Security. I don't have a pension plan at all. 3% for inflation. My retirement savings, if I wait until I'm 65, is probably going to be maybe 300,000 instead. So I can put that in. I'm going to leave in the 7% rate of return. I think that's a reasonable expectation. I'm going to allow 2% for uncertainty, and I'm going to do the calculations. Woo, the money now lasts until age 81. Well, it looks not bad, but if we get 2% less, it lasts until about 78, and if we get 2% more, it lasts until about 78 or somewhere, or 88, I should say. So you got to know the numbers. So what is your unique set of numbers? That's what you have to know. You have to have a budget. You have to know that I have some cash flow left over. So here we got the period of inflation, or I should say pre-retirement, which is this green line, and then there's retirement right there. And the money starts coming out. That's the blue graph at the bottom, and the money drains out by age 81. So the guy said, well, I don't want to be broke at 81. So let's go back and say, okay, how can we fix that? Well, maybe we put some more money in so that my 300,000 is now 400,000. And we do the calculations on that and see what happens. Wow, almost works, I think, from the looks of it. Now the money will last him until 91. Now that's okay if he dies at 90 or dies before 91, but if he's still alive at 95, he's broke at 95, but maybe he's okay with that. If he gets an extra 2% on the money, it works completely. If he gets 2% less, he runs out of money at 86. And once again, the only point I'm trying to make, I'm not suggesting for a minute that 7% or anything is guaranteed. I'm suggesting that this is carving a path for you and showing you where you're at right now, where you want to go, and how you're going to get there. You have to get that kind of a return to make it work. And the best way to make it work is to have the right portfolio of investments, to make sure that you spend less than you earn, that you entrust that money to experts, you leave it to compound, and you make sure it happens by following up with a regular review. 604-280-0650. Long distance, 877-280-0650. Log on, www.CIL650.com. For your convenience, Frida is down at the office right now, area code 604-737-3512. Long distance, 800-661-1495. Remind you once again, if you just tuned in, I'm certified financial planner Fred Snyder, also a registered financial planner. You're listening to CIL 650, and we're talking about your money, as we do every week on Saturday between 8 and 9. Your money and how to keep it. Replay on Sunday between 10 and 11. And again, that will be a best of a previous show, so you can tune in if you want to catch up on that one. And again, today we talked about taxes. You need to be able to do the calculations. You need to understand the difference between your average rate of tax and the marginal rate of tax. You got to understand when you make an RRSP contribution, you save the rate at the margin because it comes off the top, not the bottom. It's not the average. And in British Columbia right now, if your income exceeds $150,000, the marginal rate in BC right now is 50%. Terrible. Let's talk to Tracy from Vancouver. Tracy, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Fred. How are you?
Pretty good, Tracy. How are you?
I'm doing well. I wanted to say to add a little bit of your tax information that quite often people don't realize that they can take the dividends that they've earned in their tax-free savings account to live on. In fact, you and I have had discussions about this. I don't always do what you say, though you have.
No, you still haven't bought a house, have you?
No, I still haven't. But
you choose to travel instead.
On my tax-free savings account, I earn around $300 a month in dividend interest, and so being able to take that out without worrying about having to pay taxes helps me to keep my income up a little bit, because I don't have a lot of pension money and stuff like that coming in.
Tracy, how many vacations do you take a year?
How much vacations? Lots. I take probably about two vacations a year.
You had one that was 4 months long, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah. And I've done a trip. We're planning another trip, but So
some of the objectives that people have could be to buy a house and travel, but you've chosen travel as opposing to buy a house.
Yeah. Anyhow, you're almost out of time, but I just wanted to add that they can take money out of their tax-free savings account to help them live on, and they don't have to worry about paying taxes on it.
Thanks for the tip.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Talk to you later.
You coming out to our next workshop?
Yes, I've got my name on the list.
Good enough. Thanks, okay. Tracy.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
Enjoy the weekend. Okay, I have to run. Time's up. So we got Zach Spencer coming on, driving right after my show. And again, I'd like to get on his show one day and talk about electric cars. I think electric cars is the way to go. I don't know how he would think about that. So, Zach, I'm leaving a question on the air. What's your read on electric cars? Bye for now. See you same time, same station next week.
If you'd like Fred to review your portfolio, call his office right now at 604-737-3512. That's 604-737-3512.